Welcome into CBS News 24/7. I'm Reed Cowan. What a story this is. The U.S. Supreme Court sides with Congress upholding a ban on TikTok. It was unanimous and news-making at that. So justices refused to block a federal law banning that Chinese-owned app that has, by the way, more than 170 million users in the United States. So the conversation on TikTok right now is on fire. Bipartisan congressional support for that ban over national security. The reason. But then get this, President Joe Biden saying in recent hours he will not implement or enforce that ban. He's going to leave it squarely with the Trump administration on how to handle this. So that's the big question. How will the president-elect Donald Trump uphold the ban? And the big question is this, will he? Keep in mind, the top boss of that Chinese-owned app is attending Donald Trump's inauguration. So let's talk to CBS News Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady. Big stakes here for President-elect Donald Trump. So if he doesn't save TikTok, when are we likely to see this ban go into effect? And then how would that ban be implemented regardless of who enforces it?
Okay, so come Sunday, we're expecting to see that ban. That's when this law takes effect, January 19th. So it actually, even if President-elect Trump were to try to do something when it comes to an executive order, in theory, this would be banned. Now, whether that's actually enforced, as President Biden said, he's going to leave that to the next administration. But technically, if you go to the App Store on Sunday, TikTok should not be there to download. That's what the law says, that the U.S. app stores cannot host this. Now, for those that have actually downloaded TikTok already, like myself, I would be able to go on my phone. I would be able to still continue using it. That's what's in the law. And then sort of going forward and rolling that out, any new app or new versions of the app, you wouldn't be able to download it. So the idea is over time, people would just sort of move away from that. TikTok, however, could choose to actually shut off access. And there is some reporting out there that this is something that they are considering as more of a, well, okay, we're going to take our ball and go home. But as of now, Reed, it would be Sunday if that law is enforced.
Interesting. Okay, so I want to ask you about this. Senator Josh Hawley told our CBS News crews in recent hours that TikTok has had multiple big dollar offers from potential buyers in the United States, that the people of China have just said, no, we're not going to sell. What do you know about those offers?
So the public one, it's called the People's Bid. This was from Frank McCourt, and part of the investor group that's behind this is Kevin O'Leary. Sorry,
right.
We had a brain moment there, of course, from Shark Tank. Big billionaires behind this, and they have not disclosed what number they would be putting forth as the bid, but they would be buying the U.S. operations of TikTok, not the algorithm. Last time around, though, you sort of look at the names that were involved in this under the first Trump administration. Microsoft was involved as a potential bidder. Oracle was involved as a potential bidder. Walmart was thrown around at a certain time. I will say, any of the companies that could be considering a bid, and potentially the company might be interested in actually considering that bid because the Supreme Court has upheld this decision, it would also need to go through antitrust regulation reviews. Something like a Meta or a Google, it wouldn't make sense for them to actually buy it, even though strategically it would make sense. So even if there is a bid and ByteDance is open to accepting that bid, there's so many different processes that this would actually need to be reviewed by.
And then the question, what happens to the app while we wait those processes? This will be fascinating. So let's talk about two other apps owned by Chinese company. They're starting to make headlines. Lemonade, Red Note. Are those apps also at risk? Because we had a guest on earlier who mentioned that CapCut, which I use to edit content, also is a part of this.
So this is where it's really interesting, Reed. So Lemonade is actually owned by ByteDance, the same company that owns TikTok. Red Note is a Chinese-owned company as well. And so I when this decision came down this morning, I went back and I read the language of the law originally, and it states that any app like this that is owned by a foreign adversary, which China is considered under this legislation, is at risk for a ban. And so you see these users saying, oh, well, we don't care if we're on an app that is owned by a Chinese company. We're going to make a stand. We're going to go to these other apps. Those may actually be at risk as well, especially because the Supreme Court said this law is constitutional. The government could choose to actually go after these two as well, Reed.
Fascinating. What happens here could literally spell the future of so many other apps, not only existing right now, but in the days to come. That's why I'm glad you are in the chair to talk to about this. CBS News Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady, I wish you a great weekend, and we will see you on Sunday if that app just disappears from the palm of our hands. Thank you so much, my friend. We'll also have an eye on Congress confirmation hearings for President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet picks.